Hey everyone, welcome to Smash Trivia. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia to follow everything happening with me. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. I'm so excited to get into this. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, in this series, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies and TV shows, and maybe at some points I could get into comics, but that's a while off. Hope you enjoy Smash Trivia presents the Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening if they could please do something for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends because I really want to get the Gamma Analysis to be big enough that by the time She-Hulk comes out, maybe I could become press and either get the first episode early or be invited to a premiere or even just get one of the press goodie bags. For this episode, I'm going to review The Incredible Hulk 77, Episode 9. Just so you know, this is not a critical podcast. Every episode of mine, I will always try to put out positive vibes. So while I will mention a couple things I don't like, I won't dwell on them. And the majority of my review will be things I liked in it. And with that being said, I do have a co-host today. I don't force them to follow the same code of positivity if they don't want to. Our co-host today is Keith, aka KeithSketches, aka Filmkritter with a K. Keith, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good tonight, John. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
I'm sporting something a little special for tonight. Listeners can't tell, but maybe they can tell that, once in a while when I'm doing this podcast, I like to have a beer or two. Well, in the spirit of not only the Hulk, but also the oncoming St. Patrick's Day, I give you my green beer. It
Nice.
is probably still okay for me to drink, no matter how much food coloring I put in it. I would hope. We will see. But
Okay.
I know there's no gamma involved, so, and I think it's a light beer, so we'll see.
Yeah, I remember seeing online actually like a I think it was in Canada being sold like a green, it's supposed to be Hulk themed aim drink ink that was sold in stores. Like it was like being sold in like I think it looked like it was test tubes or something.
Is it an alcoholic drink or
I think
just
so.
a drink in the?
I think it was. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, but yeah.
I've seen test tube drinks for sure. They do like a good hilarious way to have some shots of something, usually like very sugary liqueurs of some kind. It's a hilarious way to have a party. Be like, oh, I'm a mad scientist. I'm having a mad scientist party. Here's my little test tube of alcohol. Good times.
Yes. All right. So my trivia question for you today is, for a long time and currently, when Bruce gets angry, he turns into the Hulk. But originally in his first comics, what turns him into the Hulk?
Oh, wasn't anger. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna take a wild stab and say that it's just an uncontrollable sneeze.
All right. Well, I will I'll let you know the answer later in the show. You may have gotten it right.
I'm excited. That's some Dragon Ball Z shit right there.
And I highly recommend watching the episode before you listen to the podcast, because while we do try to mention most scenes in the episode, a lot of times we do miss some things, and also since this is just commentary on the episode, it might not make a lot of sense if you don't watch the episodes first. All right, and the podcast that I would like to shout out this week is the Wheel of Horror podcast. I listened to their Willy's Wonderland review, and I really enjoyed it, and I think you will too. So please check them out. And I'm gonna let Keith talk for a bit about his upcoming project. So take it away, Keith.
Oh man, it's still in development as of now, but it's essentially called the Ordinary Everyday Fools, and it's going to feature me and my co-host Liz, and the two of us are going to talk about the vacation movies, the National Lampoon's vacation movies, and how Chevy Chase was a once upon a time a hilarious man. It'll be kind coming out probably late March, if not the very beginning of April. So
All right.
More on that soon.
All right. Thank you for letting everyone know about that. All right, so let's get into our review of this episode. So this episode was titled Never Give a Trucker an Even Break. So what did you think of that title for this episode?
I gotta be honest, I didn't know what the hell that meant.
Yeah, it's a really weird title.
I didn't know if that was a saying. I Googled it. I was like, is that something people used to say? Like, do they, because break is not spelled, or is it? Now I'm wondering. Break is spelled BREAK. So
yeah.
Not like break, like to do with their brake on their truck. I'm just confused. Even break.
I do know that I do know why what the that title is. So that that I found in my in trivia section on the Hulk wiki. The episode's title is a play on a 1941 W.C. Fields movie that's called Never Give a Sucker an Even Break.
Ah,
yes.
Clear as mud. Now I know. Now we have more questions.
Yeah, I don't have any idea what that film is, but it still is a phrase that makes no sense. But okay. Yeah.
What did you think of this episode as a whole, John?
So okay, this episode, it was definitely had a different feel than a lot of the other episodes. I think that this is probably one of the weaker episodes in my opinion. I mainly, though I can't really tell you what all they are. I just think the plot felt kind of clumsy and not like it wasn't as well done as most of the other episodes. Would you agree with any of that?
Well, I think that they do a good job in the sense that this Hulk series doesn't seem to have essentially, aside from its tropes and formula of that it's established very early on. Okay, he gets into a bind, hulks out, solves it, moves on. The genre keeps changing, and to me, this subgenre of this episode is a highway chase or a highway action action comedy, really. And what I noticed when I started thinking about that more and more is this essentially is the Smokey and the Bandit episode of The Incredible Hulk. And that movie came out the year before this episode. It also grossed like 126 million in the theaters. It was Sally Field, Burt Reynolds, and it was a trucker muscle car comedy about hauling illegal goods, and it was a light, fluffy, good time.
Yeah.
And I think after the last episode we just had with the serious themes of blackmail and torture and Jack almost discovering his identity and everything, like that was a very serious episode. And I feel like sometimes in television, producers will let people get away with episodes like that as long as they say, okay, but next week kind of lighten it up, maybe keep it fluffy. So there's not a lot of progression in this one, like narratively, but there is a lot of fluff.
Yeah. The first note that I had from the episode was, I think this is the first time that we hear the Lonely Man theme at the beginning of the episode.
I think so too. Yeah, for sure. Because he's already hitchhiking, and that's like kind of it's like synonymous with the hitchhiking act. And
they do it like 3 or 4 times in the episode, which is it's really interesting that they did that. Yeah,
it's bizarre,
and I think that it works honestly best in all of the times in the episode before the last scene of the episode versus the last scene of the episode. I don't think it worked at all.
That's fair. Yeah, I would have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah. So the next thing I have wrote is that And a lot of what I wrote this note is not, or part of it at least, didn't end up being true. So I wrote, even though this girl has, she says she has a boyfriend, I wrote that I wouldn't be surprised if she's another love interest for David, just based on her looks, and lo and behold, she was another love interest for David. So
I'd have to. I was like, for the majority of the episode, I would have disagreed. I would have been like, oh, luckily they have like zero chemistry romantically. It's really nice that this episode is just about a man and a woman becoming friends and him just helping out his scrappy little friend. And then right at the end, they prove me wrong, and I'm like, come on,
yeah,
another love interest.
Yeah,
what a player.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah, and like as you said, yeah, they don't have it really any chemistry.
No.
Like, I think this is definitely one of the worst of the love interests that they've had.
And yet I liked her as another, like, falling on hard times friend. And I in that position, in that scenario, I would have liked her more. Like, I keep wondering, are these friends going to come back at some point in some later season and him have like a second round of adventure with them? And at this point, I'm like, I liked her until it was like, hey, let's go get lunch. We'll get to that.
All right. So the next thing I have, this was one thing that did kind of annoy me in the episode. So in a previous episode, David had the money to be able to fly places, but now he doesn't even have enough for a bus ride.
That's Vegas, baby.
Like that. Well, he didn't seem like he was doing much gambling. And what gambling he did do as a card shell, he was using the casino's money.
Sure. He had no mattress to tuck his money under. Like, he probably just like misplaced it. One of his many Hulk outs, he just like forgot where he put the.
But
all that zoo cash.
I just think it is funny how inconsistent it is for his financial. And it's obviously plot of they just wanted him to be hitchhiking this episode, so they said he has no money, but
so far, to me, the inconsistency lies in that one episode where he gets to be a passenger on the 747. I have no idea why he had money to do that, but the rest of the episodes he seems to be just a transient, like, poor wandering man, which is fine. It fits, but I have no clue what the hell. Maybe he blew all his money. Maybe he blew all that money on that plane ticket, and now because that's got to be it, right? He needed to rush to San Francisco.
He had to get to Chicago and he was in San Francisco.
Right. So he gambled even before he got to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
By buying that ticket and thinking everything was just going to go fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
I love to explain away any quandaries that you have with an episode, just so I can make you love the episode again.
So let's see. So the next thing I wrote was since so this girl, she told him that she was going to pay him $10 to give her boyfriend a birthday card, and I wrote that, damn, David's getting paid really well for this simple yet strange task, since and I know I keep going back to this with the actors, but with inflation, the $10 is like $70. Like like thinking $70 to give someone a birthday card. Can you imagine someone ask you to do that?
he just needed more dimes for that phone call later. He was so excited to get $10. He's like, oh my god, that's so many dimes. Yeah, I was suspicious right away when she did that, because did she pay him up front?
I think she did.
Oh my goodness, she just made money.
Have.
Well, I was. What did you think? Because when he was approaching, because I thought it was kind of being dragged out in this way that's like they keep repeating the details. She said that I have to have all of his friends around him when I hand him this card. That was brilliant on her part when you think back about what her real plan was. Gather everyone around, right? But I thought that it was going to be either a divorce papers or a subpoena of some kind. I was not expecting anything else.
I definitely didn't expect what it was.
A death threat. Wow.
Yeah. So the next thing I wrote was that I'd probably be pretty creeped out though if a random stranger came up to me and gave me a birthday card. Like it possibly just as creeped out as I'm saying, hey, I'll kill you. Because that is just really creepy that this random person coming up to you with a birthday card.
Well, did you watch the Batman before or after watching this episode of the Hulk? Because birthday cards mean something entirely different. It would have been
after.
There you go. That's what it is. You just watch the Batman. You watch Riddler give a bunch of funny little cards to people, and you're like, I don't trust birthday cards no more. This person wants to kill me. And so it becomes obvious that this person's a threat. Birthday cards are no longer going to be cool after the Batman.
Yep. So and the next I wrote was where we find out what was in the card. And I just wrote, "Oh my god, holy shit! I did not expect it to say, I'll kill you if I have the chance."
And yeah, no, me neither. That took a real left turn, no pun intended. And shit got it started the episode off with a bang, which I appreciated in a lot of ways. It was a quick episode in general, action wise, the whole time.
Definitely. So right as David is about to be beat up by all these guys, the girl from earlier is seen driving a massive truck barreling towards everyone. And as everyone else runs out of the way, David runs to the passenger side of the moving truck and pulls himself up into the window.
Showing some serious athleticism from his part for the first time.
I was a little surprised when he did that, because like, so she's about to try and run you and all these other people over, and you think the best course of action is to try and get in with her.
Well, yeah, I mean,
crazy lady is doing all this.
Look, a ride is a ride, you know, like you take your ride when you're out in the Nevada desert. He was thinking proactively. He was like, I don't want to be out here in the sweltering heat of the Nevada desert. Fuck that. She's the only one moving, and she's going to drive into all these other cars. So he just leapt it. I thought it was hilarious to see just Bill Bixby's like comedic chops in this moment when he comes up on the passenger window and he's like, what are you doing? And like just the expression of him and seeing the like hearing the harmonica and banjo music and him like leaping into the passenger seat. I was like, this is a very different Bill Bixby / David Banner. I've never seen him try to be this funny, and I liked it. It was impressive to me.
Yeah.
But it's completely nonsensical, don't get me wrong. You're right about that, but at least it was a nice addition to the episode. If it's going to be fluffy, at least make it funny and fluffy.
Yeah. So the next thing I had, this was something that I thought was pretty funny in the episode. So we see one of the friends of the guys that she was trying to kill, a little saddened by his car getting crushed.
Mike,
like that. Yeah, I was like, real. I thought that was really funny They did that, and then they later the episode they follow it up again with him getting crushed again.
Yeah, I love that. Mike was one of my favorite things about this episode, and this guy, the actor's name is Grand L. Bush, and he is from Die Hard. He is in the live action version of Street Fighter. He's been in a few different things, nothing huge, but like his part in Die Hard was a very small part. But his reaction to his car getting messed up in the first time was so funny to me. I was like, this is a thug or a henchman that we have not seen, one that I actually care about. And I was like, I like Mike.
Yeah.
Even if he is trying to shoot Joni and David, I like him a lot more than this other Ted guy. Screw Ted.
Yeah,
Ted sucks.
Yeah, he definitely does. Oh man, so the next thing I wrote was that Joni says that this truck, it was stolen from her and her father, and that they beat her father up so that so when she saw the truck, she devised a plan to steal it using David as bait. And David suggested that she could have called the police for her, but she says that she's been trumped too many times.
Yeah.
And
she's very untrusting of because they take too long to get back to them, and they take too long to get involved. And what makes me laugh is in that moment she's talking about like when they stole it, like she was like, who would want to steal 10,000 gallons of gasoline? And I was like, whoa,
that's a lot of gas.
I feel nowadays,
I feel like yes, shit. People would try to steal that.
That's a gold mine nowadays, but back then, not so much. Gas was very low on people's agenda at the time. Did you look into Joni's the actress's background at all?
No, I did not.
She seemed kind of familiar to me, but more so her voice than anything else. So she is actually, her name is Jennifer Darling, and she's a lot much like a lot of the people in this show. She's been in several episodes of The $6 Million Man, the Bionic Woman spinoff, but she's primarily a voice actress, and fellow nerds will enjoy this. She was in several episodes of the 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon as Irma Langenstein. She also played Scarlet Witch for a short stint on the 1995 Iron Man cartoon. Nice. She was also a voice in The Tick, the Jumanji cartoon, and she played several of the voices of the female ants in A Bug's Life. But beyond that, she was she's done over 165 different parts, most of them being voice actor things in several different video games, movies, TV shows. So I admire the hell out of voice actors because they don't get a whole lot of face time, and so it's cool when they do to me. But yeah, it's nice to have another Marvel royalty in a tiny way.
Yeah, that's really cool. Thank you for doing that research.
No problem. I hope I didn't bust any other trivia things for you later.
No.
Sweet.
So David's response to her saying that talking about she's been trumped too many times, I found really hilarious. So David responded, "Don't you think we're gonna get trumped on when they catch up to us?" And then like she just does not respond to it, him, and that then he says, "Wonderful." Oh man, that was really funny.
It's honestly the most comedic episode so far. I can't think of an episode that was meant to be a comedy the whole way through. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's strange to me that it took this long, and I think I truly think that it is because it followed such a serious episode.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So the next thing I have here is that I also found pretty funny the scene right after that of the two following them, Mike and what did you say the other guy's name is?
Ted. The ugly guy's name is Ted.
Yeah, Mike and Ted following them, trying to they're trying to find their gun, and then when they finally find it, it's not loaded.
Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious.
I was so confused. I was like, did she set that up? Like it just seemed as though she was really on the ball.
They're idiots.
Yeah. Fair. She seemed so confident, and I was like, and David Banner's like, I'm really worried about when they catch up to us, and she seems so confident the whole time, and then their gun's not loaded, and it's just that she knows they're idiots, or is that she somehow predicted that? I just thought that was very odd.
I don't know.
But of course, their gun's not loaded. They're not good at this.
No, they're definitely not. So the next thing I wrote down was that we see this demented smile on her face as she rams them after they got in front of the truck, and I loved saying that she has this demented look on her face.
She's a loose cannon. She's out there. I agree. Joni is not to be trifled with.
Yeah, I feel like she has just as much of that creepy villain energy that I have.
Wait, you mean all the time, or when you're trying to act like a villain?
Yeah, when I'm trying to act like a villain. Like I think she has that same energy of like she could easily do that. Like okay, she like easily
normally you're a very nice guy.
Make someone be really creeped out by how I heard like, oh my god, I love it when there are people who like normally like they could be really happy and go lucky, but then all of a sudden they can be like, whoa, ha, ha, ha.
I think in itself that is a sign that you are a villain. That's what you're telling me. You're like, I like that about people. Those are my kind of rogues gallery. Yes. Oh god. Oh, it's working. I'm too afraid to go full villain mode because I don't know if I see. This is the thing. You get a taste of it, just like yourself, and then you can't turn backward. Scary stuff, man.
Yeah, I think my facial expressions when I try to be a villain, I think that the closest person I can say I think it looks kind of like is Tim Curry when he makes a really creepy face.
Yeah. Well, I think Tim Curry, if it's not Tim Curry, it's Jack Nicholson when it comes to the two iconic villain facial actors that you could possibly try to emulate to do a good villain face. That's good. And I like that you're like villains do this, right? yeah, villains are constantly, I'm surprised, or am I? Oh, I don't know.
Oh man, this is one of the things you should definitely include in our like villain promo so that people can see this.
Yes. Hell yes. People need to know what I'm looking at.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh man. So the next thing we have was after she gets it's the two guys to crash, she tells David to watch for a phone, and he responds, "Oh, I will." And then for some reason, did you notice he holds out his fist as if he's trying to do a fist pump? Did you notice that?
I did. Did he have change on him? Was that it? Maybe he was just rattling around change in his hand?
So
I didn't notice that.
He pointed his arm to the side towards her, or like this.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Oh, a fist bump from her. Oh, damn.
Yeah, like he was trying to get a fist bump, which I don't know why he'd be trying to do that in this situation. It doesn't seem like him at all. Nor does it seem like her.
That's not really his style. Good point.
Yeah.
I'm looking
I don't know what the
like.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
I'm not even at that. I just rewound to the part where they've stopped. She has that great line with the old guy running the gas station. It's a line Emmy would like, I feel. Yeah. Emmy of the Avengers podcast. If you haven't been listening to them, check them out. But no, anyways, I didn't see the fist bump part, but I believe you. I'm just that is weird.
It was interesting to me when I saw that. It was like that. It felt weird, and it was like, and it doesn't seem like a sign that this show would like make a mistake by having something like that in the episode, just because I don't think fist bumps were that common back then. Yeah.
No, I don't think they'd been created at all.
Yeah. So
I'm looking for the part where she says the phone, but I don't get too distracted. All right.
Yeah. So I wrote just as you had said that they that about the 10,000 gallons of gas, of like that's a lot of gas, and I wrote
so high right now.
Right after that, right after she said that, since they're trying to say that 10,000 gallons of gas is nothing, I wrote that I'm guessing they weren't just hauling gas. There's probably something very valuable on board.
Yeah.
So they stop at a gas station, but the payphone happens to be broken, and
of course
David goes on top of the truck to look inside, and he finds some very expensive computer parts.
I love that he says, because at the time, computers, home computers were not a thing yet. So him saying the phrase computer component, she says, what? And he says, it's a very expensive computer component. And it's just like, that doesn't mean a whole lot to audiences at home. So at the time, so he really had to like component is such a broad term. Any more specificity would have confused the shit out of everybody. So I love that a lot. But I love as soon as he said that, Joni goes and just happens to remember hearing about a guy who was carrying a bunch of computer components last week. I was like, well, that's convenient. How good of you to remember at this very trying time.
But also, I kind of feel like throughout the episode, Joni wasn't being really upfront. I feel with David, like she knew more about what was going on than she let on.
Yeah, I think so too.
The
scene I was talking about, the moment, the line that I was talking about that Emmy from the Avengers podcast might like. I don't know how much you want to shout them out, but I'll tell you, she'd like this one. It's the Joni jumps down from the big rig, driving the big rig, and the guy at the gas station says, you're a little thing to be driving such a big truck, and she says, oh, and you're such a darling little thing to be living out here in the middle of nowhere. And she just taps his belly and she just walks past him. I was like, that's a wonderful moment. That was very fun. She's like, oh, sexism. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That was nice. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, that was like I it did kind of feel weird to me when we heard him say that line. I was like, great.
Yeah, but I mean 1978.
Yeah, it's not surprising for that time.
I mean, even today, it's rare that a trucker is not male. Because it's not, first of all, it's not a very alluring job. But the few truckers that are female, they know how to do it. Of course they do. They're truckers. Yeah. They gotta know how to do it. They gotta pass all the tests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes no difference. Anybody can drive the truck if they just put their mind to it and learn how. So
definitely. So Oh, at this point is where we first find out, actually, in the episode, that her name is Joni, and we see, and right after that, she drives away, leaving David at the gas station, which, like, I found that, like, weird that she just left him. Like, why did they go separate ways at that point?
I don't know if she's now. I'm confused because I thought that they had chosen to because he was tired of being jerked around and involved in something he had nothing to do with. So I did not realize that she drove off and just abandoned him, which is, maybe she
Like,
thought,
they
oh,
did
he's,
have a conversation for, but so yeah, they may have come to an understanding about it, but it just like felt weird that he was just left at this gas station, that they even have a phone.
You're right.
The
No, she
working
does just,
phone.
he goes in and gets like a soft drink. And no, you know what? They say goodbye. They say
Yeah,
goodbye
they
to
say
each other.
goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she doesn't abandon him so much. She hands him his bag. He goes in for a soft drink, and that was kind of funny.
Mhm.
And just because he can't say brand names, even though I'm pretty sure that gas station says Coca-Cola. No, he goes in for a soft drink and she just buggers off. But he's probably happy to be done with it. Probably thinks nothing could possibly go wrong after this.
Mhm.
No matter how much his experience in life in the last year has shown him otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wrote was that she told David right before she left, that she's going to call the cops, but like, immediately when she said that, I was like, I don't think she's actually planning on doing that.
No, she ain't. Yeah, agreed.
Like, she wouldn't have had a chance to, because of what happens, but even if she had a chance to, I don't think she was actually planning on it.
I think she's done with the cops. The cops take too long, as she said, to get involved. They wait for a missing truck to go, to some parts of it to show up or something like that. And I would imagine desert highway cops they have other things they're involved with that they're more interested in. Yeah, they gotta pick their cases,
While David was inside getting his soft drink, we see the two guys drive past us, and which gives us a hint that something's about to happen. And when David goes back outside, the Lonely Man theme starts playing again, which it definitely surprised me that they were having it so many times in this episode.
Well, to me, that indicates that he already misses the brand new friend that he made. And this is more so to my point that I wish they were just friends and not another romantic involvement. Mm-hmm. It would have been nice to have just a female friend. It harkens back to this movie I both love and hate because of my obsession with movies. When Harry Met Sally, they produced this theory that men and women cannot be friends platonically without sex getting in the way or romantic involvement getting in the way. And that hypothesis is so dumb, and it bothers me that they, that this seems to be the case at this time, at least in media anyway. I don't mean that this was the times in the 70s. Oh, every man and woman couldn't be friends. They just do this in movies and television where they okay, a man and a woman in a scene together, there's got to be some kind of sparks, there's got to be some kind of romantic end game, and it's like, no, just make her another friend.
That
frustration.
Definitely frustrating.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wrote was that as David is trying to hitch another ride, he sees the two guys caught up to her and are now kidnapping her. So David hotwires their car and follows them, which this was side that I was like, really? So why did they leave their car there?
Yeah.
They could have easily had just one of them drive the truck with her in it, and then the other drive the car back, and then David would be defenseless.
But they're not even thinking about David. She's too scrappy.
They're not thinking of David, but also, who just leaves their car somewhere in the middle of the desert?
But if they regain those computer components by selling them on the black market, they'll be able to buy 10 cars just like that hunk of shit. So I think that's their brain at the time. They're like, okay, you hold her, I'll drive, because she's pretty scrappy. She'll probably kick me in the nuts or punch me in the face, and I won't be able to drive. So let's have you hold her, I'll drive. And she's like, get your hands off me. And you hear her very audibly from a long ways away, driving, I can only imagine, at least over 60. Get your hands off me several times. We'll play at this point in the promo reel. I'll play that clip just for a couple seconds so you can hear what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, she I mean, plus it's in the script. He's got to be able to catch up somehow. The script.
Yeah, that is the defense for any time there's a logic is not put involved. It's in the script. It needs to happen for plot.
Yeah, they wrote it down. So what else are they gonna do?
So back at the guy's place, they're trying to get her out of the truck, but she's resisting, and we hear a pretty funny line where one of the guys says, "She bit me," and the other guy says, "Well, bite her back then."
I did not catch that. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Oh man.
I didn't catch that at all. I just really saved my next note for what happens next.
So all right. So the next thing I have is that I love that this time that the Hulk comes out, it's because he's mad at a phone booth. I love how like, he crushes the phone and then breaks the rest of the entire booth.
I fell over laughing at this scene because I was like, why the hell is he going out to why isn't he helping? She's got 5 guys beating her up and he's running to a phone. He could just go in there and toss them aside. He goes to a place that ends up being so aggravating, but it's hilarious to me. It's so relatable, like the being stuck in gridlock in a cab in Times Square. Mm-hmm. It's so relatable that you're pissed off because you're on the phone with bad help on the other end. And he hulks out because he's in this infuriating experience with unhelpful people on the other end of the phone. It was so funny to me. And he says, fuck the phone, and he destroys everything. And I couldn't have been happier with how silly that was as a premise for him to hulk out.
Yeah. I love that too. But like, particularly the fact that he first crushes the phone and then he just goes in and destroys the entire rest of the phone booth. But one thing that I'm kind of wondering, as we go on with this show, is there going to come a point where David realizes that in some situations he needs to bring the Hulk out and actually tries to bring the Hulk out because he realizes I can't stop this thing, but the Hulk can, and also realizing that every time the Hulk comes out, he does good. He is a hero. I'm very much wondering if David will ever realize that in the show, and not always just be trying to deal with things himself instead of trying to get the Hulk to come out.
Yeah, you're wondering if he will be if he'll reach like Ruffalo level expertise where he just turns back and says, "I'm always angry." Calmly.
I mean,
by the way,
I don't think that they that will happen, but at least like have it that that like he realizes in some situations I need the Hulk, and he starts trying to do things to make himself angry, like hitting himself or something, just to get the Hulk to come out.
I truly believe that if he is going to come to that point in his relationship with how he launches the Hulk, first of all, he needs to stop running from the fact that the Hulk is a hero as well.
Yeah, like that is a really big thing that I'm wondering about. Like there's got to be something in his head be like, every time this thing that I act like is this awful thing, and every time it comes out, good things happen. Why? Like, there's got to come a point where he realizes maybe I've been treating him wrong.
He's acting like he's still acting, and I mean we're only 9 episodes in, but he's still acting like it's a burden. He shouldn't be able to do this. He shouldn't. The worst can happen. But in the first episode, he learned that the Hulk's not a killer because he's not a killer. Because, and I'm gonna get the name right this time, Dr. Elena Marks said, "You're not a killer, so the Hulk's not a killer." And that echoed in his brain, and he should remember that, and he should have maybe a flashback of her saying that again, especially since we're still in the first season.
Well, he did have a flashback of her saying that in the Guilt, Models, and Murders
the murder mystery, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. He's going to be put in that position again, but it would be nice for. And the other thing too is that he doesn't have the chance to really connect with, because for us it's been how long, but for him it's probably been like a month. You know, he's moving around a lot. Nah, it's probably not been a month.
I feel like it's probably been a few months at least.
He's too on the run to channel his inner, you know, like you think of like the Edward Norton, like meditating and like the Tai Chi and like he's finding his breath and like all that stuff. He had time to do that purely because he was off the grid in Rio de Janeiro.
Mm-hmm.
He was just somewhere completely hidden that he could work on himself, and he doesn't get to do that when he's constantly on the run trying to find a cure. He needs to accept a part of this Hulk thing.
Yeah.
And then just work on it rather than cure it. He needs to work on it. And he's not in that stage yet.
And it probably is also not very helpful for his situation that he insists on going to big cities all the time instead of going to somewhere remote.
Fantastic points that I never thought about because of the hype and recognizability that a TV show would have if they just picked big cities for him to visit for a traveling man show. And yet, he never goes to a place where he can just disappear and hang out. He goes to big landmarks and he fucks up, and then he moves on.
I think this episode is probably the closest to it being a remote area.
True.
Yeah.
True. But what a crappy place to hide, the Nevada desert. You get stranded there, you're screwed.
I mean, there are some iterations of the Hulk where I think it was the Nevada desert, there's like an entire town devoted to Hulk.
What?
I think, if I remember.
In real life?
No, in some iterations of the Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Some adaptation. I know specifically in the Hulk and the Agents of Smash anime series, his base of operations with his team is within this city where they not city, like small town where they where like Hulk is a celebrity, and he's and like literally like half the buildings are Hulk themed aimed businesses.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
A little Hulk
there's
town.
actually that's actually signed in, at least in some comics they actually did. But yeah, it was
Damn,
interesting.
that is interesting. That's a great. I love that there's so many versions of the comics, whether it be or comics or movies or television, where
Mm-hmm.
light and dark and realistic and campy. Like I love how much lore there is in
Yeah.
these kind of things where you can get that kind of thing where there's a whole city, little Hulk town,
Yeah.
Hulksville. That's awesome. Hulksville, USA.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
So the next thing I wrote down is this once Talk actually gets back into the building. So one guy tries to punch Hulk,
Yeah.
but he moves out. Hulk moves out of the way, making the guy look like an idiot. And then Hulk throws another one of the guys into a bunch of yellow paint cans that coats him.
Coats him in the color of cowardice.
Yeah.
There you go. There you
Oh,
go. I was laughing because to me this scene, he crashes in, he throws a couple goons, bends a pipe,
mm-hmm.
does all the normal Hulk stuff, and then he does this weird move I've never seen him do before. He runs over to Joni, picks her up with one arm, and he does this spin move, and he like backs out with her in his arm, and he's like, as if to say, like, don't follow. And I thought that was really funny that he's just like keeping his eyes on them. I've never seen Hulk do that in this show so far.
Yeah, but and also it is another situation where it's pretty obvious that at least Hulk remembers some things of Banner, because if he didn't, he wouldn't know that Joni is this person he needs to save.
Yeah. Yeah. He absolutely always seems to remember who his friends are, which is nice.
Yeah.
He knows who to protect in an instinctual way. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next thing I wrote for which was while he's carrying Joni, this was a scene where it really makes you be able to tell how big Hulk is when he's carrying Joni, because she looks so small.
It made me look up her height, and she's like 5'8", and I was like, that's not even that small.
Yeah.
So Ferrigno is just insanely large, which we knew, but you can't fake that when the person you're carrying is of average height for a woman. 5'8" is not super tiny or anything. She's not abnormally small at all.
Yeah.
And she looked like a freaking mouse in his hands.
Definitely.
It's really funny.
Yeah, it definitely was funny. So the next thing I wrote was Hulk puts down Joni to flex, and then he throws this guy who's holding a chain onto the side of a roof. And this really reminded me of when he threw someone into the rafters in the Rocky episode.
Because how did they shoot that? It was in reverse.
Yeah.
It was so funny to me that he throws this guy up, and I'm like, oh, that was in reverse. That was for sure. Because that he just landed so like he was just suddenly like hugging the side of the beam, or he's hugging the side of the top of the warehouse. I was like, that is a beautiful trick that I don't think will ever grow old. If they can figure out a way to shoot something in reverse to make things easier, they will.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Oh man. So the next thing I have was the two main guys start trying to drive the truck out of there, and then they hit the car again of Mike, who was sad earlier. And I just like, wrote, "Oh my god, that was hilarious!"
Yeah. I you know what? I wanted Mike to play a bigger part in the episode ever since the first time he reacted to his car. He doesn't get, I think, enough screen time or enough lines because he was way funnier and way more charismatic than Ted. I did not like Ted whatsoever. He was just boring and evil and blah. But Mike was a standout as far as all the henchmen we've seen, all the dudes that Hulk has beat up and had to fight his way through. Mike was fun.
Yeah. So the next thing I have is so Joni takes their car to go after them, and when she does this, that made me wonder what happened to the car that she was driving at the beginning of the episode. Because we never found out anything about what happened to that car.
Fair. Yeah, I didn't think about that until just now. So that's, I mean, we just keep swapping between this big brown rig and this little orange muscle car.
Yeah,
I have no idea what happened to that first car.
Because it definitely wasn't the muscle car.
No, it wasn't. No, it was very, very bland, and something that David would assume that he's going to be safe in. What I laughed at was the fact that this is the first time I feel like Hulk's inability to drive has got in the way. And I mean, at this point, the dude can land a plane, but he can't help a friend because she's driving away from him.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there going like, oh, and he's like mad about it. And I was like, that sucks. That would suck.
Yeah,
because they are so
really
far away
sad.
from him in such few amount of seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I really felt sad for Hulk. When, like, everyone just drives away and they leave Hulk behind. Like we see Hulk just walking alongside the road because everyone left him behind, and like he and also like because he's probably never experienced this much heat.
Oh yeah.
So that's gotta suck as well.
Yeah. And I'm hoping they didn't do this in the actual Nevada desert because holy crap, that green paint, that green makeup on top of Lou Ferrigno. But at this point, I was thinking like the scenes, the few moments we get in between, there were some great car stunts. And it started making me think of like the fact that this episode seems to be based around car stunts and the fact that it took place in the 70s. The 70s was a great decade for car stunt movies. And like this was the decade of like Mad Max, French Connection, like I said before, Smokey and the Bandit, Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, Vanishing Point. These are all, if you're into car movies, the 70s is an incredible decade to check out when it comes to movies. So I'd highly recommend them. But I looked into the stunt drivers for this episode because there's only two main stunt drivers that they used, and they deserve a little bit of credit, and because they put themselves in such peril for people's entertainment. So the two big stunt drivers in this episode are one named Kerry Lofton, as a man born in 1914, which means that he was 64 when he was doing the stunts for this episode. Yeah.
Wow.
And he did a ton of trucker stunts, especially. He was always a truck driver, but he'd do muscle cars as well. But he did stunts for over 390 projects.
Wow.
Yeah, in his career. And then the other stunt driver was Tommy J. Huff, who worked on almost as many projects, but he did about 311 projects. But he's worked on movies like Star Trek movies, Armageddon, The Warriors, and The Matrix Reloaded.
Wow.
Yeah. So these are two stunt drivers who specifically, or their specialty was driving big rigs as well as muscle cars. But I just love that whole like world within the subgenre of action, that this episode really made some great use of the versatility of this show, because they made it a highway action episode, a highway like action comedy, which, you know, as silly as the episode was, it was cool to see that the Hulk could be something entirely different every week.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you gave them some recognition, because some people definitely need more recognition.
Oh, for sure. Stunt drivers are never featured because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You're trying to hide them.
Yeah. And it looks bad when you do feature them because they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So the next thing I have wrote down is I wasn't sure at first, and I don't think I'm completely sure now what Joni was trying to do. So she was far in front of the truck, and then she just drove off the road and started hiding from them. Do you know what she was trying to do there?
Well, at that point, I'm not sure she was even trying to get her dad's rig back. Like, she seemed to more care about, getting out alive and getting them away from her, because, she got a scare when there was like 8 dudes in a warehouse coming at her or something. And plus there's a giant green monster out there. But like, I think that she stopped caring about the rig as much and just wanted to not have them pursuing her, because maybe, and they're obviously still pursuing her because she could go to the cops. She knows too much. She knows their faces, their names, things like that. So she knows about the computer components. So I think she was just trying to hide and get away.
Though, would they have known that she knows about the computer components?
That's true. They did discover them completely out of sight and off the road. Like,
and then they covered them back up after they discovered them. So, I can't imagine that they would have asked her about the computer components, not knowing that she knew about them, because that would reveal them if she hadn't known about them.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, no, I think it might not have been all about that. I think they just wanted. I think she just feared for her life and wanted to avoid getting caught at this point.
Yeah, definitely. So the 2 guys turned the truck around. So I think at this point now, them and Joni might have been heading towards each other.
Yep.
And then and Joni finds David on the side of the road, but it seemed like there was something wrong with him here.
Yes. How did he turn back into David without sitting down on some stairs?
Oh, he sat down on the ground.
But I'm just saying,
he's
sitting in the Nevada desert and he wants to sit down on some stairs so bad. And somehow he found a rock and he's like, this will do. Whatever. Yeah. Thank God it worked. But I don't think I've ever seen somebody come across him in the same clothes that he had on during his Hulk out, see him, invite them, whatever, and not put 2 and 2 together and go, oh, you're wearing a torn up shirt. It's the same color as the shirt that the monster was wearing.
Yeah.
Very strange to me that Joni, that's the closest and the dumbest I think we've had a person not put 2 and 2 together.
Definitely. Yeah, that is very dumb.
You're saying something seemed wrong with him?
Yeah. So, he was really confused before he got into the vehicle. Did you notice that?
I wondered if it was part of the heat, part of maybe dehydration, but also
if it was about the heat, but
this is the closest we've seen him dehulked.
Yeah, maybe because I just found that really interesting that he didn't seem like he was normal. Yeah,
it's fair. He seemed very out of it. I agree.
Yeah. So the next thing they had, I said, David, being disoriented, allowed the truck to catch up to them. And then Joni asked him why he came back to help her. And I wrote, I think it's obvious. It's because he likes her.
David, he's a lonely man.
Okay.
All I can think of. So.
Oh God. Okay.
You're like reconsidering having me as a co-host at all. You're like, I don't know. No, the next episode, I might. Yeah.
Good. Oh God. So you're trying to say you think that David was horny?
No. Okay, yes. No, I think he cared about her, and for her to think that he's strange for doing so is it shows that she hasn't had a lot of friends. And she's never, like, she does say later, soon after, she's like, no one's ever cared about me this much other than my dad. And that to me is I think allows her to let go of a lot of things, like the rig at the end, where all she's doing is holding on to the rig that her and her dad built and put a lot of work into, and it's like, oh, it's because her dad's the only person who's cared about her. But other people could as well.
Yeah,
that's the least sexist version I can give.
So the next I wrote down was the I think it was a hilarious line from David. He said, I really have to start buying shirts that stretch.
Yeah. She's like, huh? He's just like, never mind.
Yeah.
So that was just for us. That's what I mean, is like, this is the funniest David we've had. It's the funniest Bill Bixby we've had. Not a very funny Hulk, as usual, but I mean, the funniest Hulk we had was in 747 when he was behind that door and the shoe salesman opened it up. That was hilarious. But the funniest David we've had is this, like, jumping in the passenger window David, who's like, I'm going to the first payphone I can find. I'm going to freak out in it. I'm going to try to find the right amount of dimes to make another. Like, this episode has so many funny David moments, and him just getting to say, I don't really got to find a shirt buy shirts that stretch while he's putting on an identical shirt.
Which, I don't think there's ever been any adaptation of the Hulk that actually did buy shirts that stretch.
Even Edward Norton is like,
before Professor Hulk in the MCU.
Yes. Yeah, he finally starts wearing stretchy clothing.
Because it's like, which I find interesting that like every adaptation they always mention stretchy pants, but never like they ever that they should probably buy a stretchy shirt because it's probably getting expensive.
I mean, again, you wondered why he's broke this episode. It's because of the 747 ticket and the amount of shirts he buys in bulk. Yeah. Those aren't, I mean, and shirts that don't stretch, that's nice. That's fine linen. And they are ripping immediately. And that shit's expensive. That's the problem.
Yeah.
He's buying shirts like he's still a professor somewhere at some university. He's not that guy anymore. He's got to buy shirts like he's gonna buy like Target stuff, some with little give,
Yeah.
Just saying.
So let's see. The next thing I have here is that Joni asked why there's never a cop when you need one, and I wrote, I think it might be because you're out in the middle of freaking nowhere.
It's true.
Would you expect there to be a lot of cops that are driving through the middle of nowhere for no good reason?
Even cops are like, I'm parking under some kind of shade and I'm just going to enjoy my, maybe diet soft drink and sit here under the brush.
Just put a speedometer up to see who's speeding on the road.
Yeah, exactly. And you just park there. You don't keep driving the hot.
Yeah, I just thought that was really funny how like she's asking that question as if it's not an obvious answer of why there's not lots of cops out.
Yeah. This episode is in the middle of nowhere, and it's a shame.
So the next thing I wrote down was for a second in there I thought that David was going to actually try and jump the train, and honestly I wish that happened. Like that would have been really cool.
It would have been cool because they were playing with the idea that now David's driving and Joni's nervous. Like you can see on her face for the rest of the time that they're driving, and she's conscious anyways, that she's nervous because she knows she's better behind the wheel. As most good drivers are, they are nervous as soon as they're the passenger. And it would have been a great comedic moment to have him make her more nervous with trying to jump that train. But well, if they could go redo the entire Incredible Hulk series, that's what we could change. They would probably reference and check out this podcast and then do it right. That's my thoughts.
That would be hilarious if that happened.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely would. But since obviously you can't have Bill Bixby come back or something like that, who would you put in the David Banner place with the Lou Ferrigno Hulk?
Topher Grace, for sure.
Okay.
Topher Grace is the most mild-mannered looking and seeming, and I think a talent that is not as challenged and tapped as he could be, and I think it'd be funny. It'd be interesting. That's my first thought right now, because I know right now he's playing like the uncle in a comedy series about 3 siblings that are trying to make it work as a disjointed family right now, and I think like he's probably doing a good job in that. He's a better actor than I think a lot of people realize.
I did see last week he went on a talk show, a late night show back in October. I think it was October. Where he was talking to them about how apparently he had actually pitched it sadly didn't end up happening, but he had pitched that they do a promo for his show and Venom 2, where because he played Venom in Spider-Man 3, like it would be all the characters from his show going to a movie theater, and like they were watching the trailer for Venom 2, and like they would be making jokes about Tom Hardy and like how Tom Hardy played Bane and a bunch of things like that. And like also because also he wanted to do this promo because apparently hit that comedy he premiered their first episode the day before Venom 2 came out.
Wow.
I feel like that's such a missed opportunity that they weren't able to do that. That would have been really fun. Oh man.
Damn.
Did you see?
Another thing I'll say is when I say Topher Grace as David Banner, I mean in the 70s. I mean it should be a period piece. If they're going to redo it, do it in the same decade, because I think it'd be better than an updated version. I would rather see a redo in the decade it was told.
Definitely. I remember as well, the other thing with Topher Grace, last year someone asked him if he was going to be in No Way Home, and like he had a hilarious response to that. I don't remember what all it was, but like he was like mentioning like all these different characters, saying that all of them were going to be in No Way Home as well, and like it was like completely ridiculous characters that would not fit at all.
Oh, he says in a Reddit AMA, he says that him and Tom Hardy pop out to battle each other. He says, please keep it between us, but yes, I am in it. The plot starts with Peter Parker, Tom Holland, bummed that everyone knows his identity, and some crazy shit happens with Doctor Strange and Dr. Octopus, and he comes into his dimension, and then Electro and Green Goblin hop out, and there's some energy circles, and then it's spider stomping time, and then Tom Hardy and I pop out and battle each other, and I win, obviously. And it's not like even a fight. I just kick his ass immediately. Not to give too much away, but there are also some actors from the original 70s Spider-Man show, Aquaman and Batman, Affleck, not Keaton, crossover, and thanks to Disney, Han Solo's ghost from Rise of the Skywalker, and Eve the robot from WALL-E again. Please keep it between us.
Oh, I love it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I honestly think that guy is way smarter than people expect.
Oh yeah, I seem to remember a few years ago he made I think it was like a super cut thing of that was supposed to be fixing some Star Wars films, and it was and I never watched it, but like you have to be really smart to be able to to do something like that, and I thought it was really cool that this person who like I've known as an actor find out that he like does like video editing and stuff like that. I think that was really interesting.
Yeah.
And also the fact that he's a really big fan of nerd stuff too.
Yeah, of course.
Which it's so nice when it's so nice when the actors who play characters in these films are fan themselves.
Agreed.
It's more annoying. It's annoying when they are very obviously not.
Yeah, when they've never even tried it. Like I would even take an actor who'd never picked up a comic book in their life, who got the role because they were right for the role as a performer, and then picked up every comic and tried to learn it all. Like that's what I love about Brie Larson. That's what I love about Hugh Jackman. Like they want to know what the hell they're doing. And I like that a lot about them. Yeah. I might have cut you off in the middle of your response to the Brie Larson, Hugh Jackman thing about reading comics.
Well, the only thing I was gonna say, was in comparison to an actor who I know who very much does not care about the work that he does, which is Michael Keaton. Like, yeah, I love Vulture. I love his portrayal of Batman, but it honestly kind of scares me that how from interviews you can very easily tell he does not care about these things at all. He's just there for the money. And that particularly, the reason it scares me is because he is doing on both sides of DC and Marvel now multiversal things, and when he doesn't care enough about the characters, he doesn't care about what he's doing, it kind of scares me, the idea of him doing something that's complex as multiversal stuff. Like he keeps saying, like, they try to explain to me all these things that are going on in the universe and how things are supposed to go and how my character is supposed to be in this moment, but I don't know what the hell they're talking about. And you should care about what out the characters you play.
I don't disagree with you. I think that it is much more exciting when the actor cares, when the actor gives a crap. I think an actor of his age also, like when he did Batman, the first Batman that he was playing him, for example, he probably didn't need to do the research. Like they weren't following or copying the comic books as much as one would, especially a time before the internet was in every home and they had all those fan people online criticizing him. But the director, Tim Burton, absolutely would have read the comics and would have absolutely enjoyed knowing more about the character that he was going to bring to life, and then he would guide him, and that's how it kind of worked back then. Whereas now he's in his, I don't know, is he in his 70s now? He's not a spring chicken, but I think that he just doesn't. Sorry, I don't mean to. Wait, he's 70. Oh, shit, he is 70. He's exactly 70 years old this year. Not that age specifically explains this away, but if he's on a talk show specifically, I think he gets in his head that he is trying to do a good talk show performance, and that too comes into play where they go on these big talk shows where there's not only an audience in the seats, but also a million plus people watching. And he thinks this is the better way to go. And someone has talked him into saying that, okay, you're in your 70s. You shouldn't need to impress them with your comic book knowledge. You should tell this because it'll make them laugh and you'll have a good time. And I think that he's known for more things than just comic book movies. He'll do that route. Whereas he doesn't think of the comic book fans who are watching that are, under, probably under 50 years of age, 20 years younger than him and younger, that he's got to impress them and go, okay, I got to find just the comic book fans and show them how seriously I take this. He's just looking for a quippy thing to say on a talk show and just get done with the night. I'm not trying to defend the guy. I love the guy for everything he's done, but
it just particularly with Morbius, it scares me. Like the fact that he doesn't really understand what's going on, and like they're like basically making him the face of Sony's multiverse in a way doesn't.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
Bode well, in my opinion. Yeah,
but at least he's not writing his own lines. So I mean, someone in charge has to know what they're doing. Thank God. And it won't be him just improvising.
I mean, it's Sony, so we don't know if someone knows what they're doing.
Very true. Well done. Good sting against Sony. Fuck those guys.
So the next thing I wrote down was I wrote down there's something wrong with their car, and it's in really bad shape, and that they're smashing into everything because they don't have much control. And then they crashed, which knocked out Joni.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote, oh my God, he's turning into the Hulk as he's able to start driving again.
Yeah,
which that was really cool. And
I was like, he's gonna learn how to drive a car as well as a plane. That's good.
Yeah. Then Hulk breaks the door off the car, and then just for good measure, he flips the car around on the ground before he grabs Joni.
Yeah,
which I thought that was hilarious. He broke it off, threw it onto the ground, and then just went flip. Like,
yeah, I mean, he's got to show that off.
Yeah,
the fact that
even though there's no one there for him to be showing it to.
It's us. We're who he's showing off to. Lou Ferrigno really wants to show what he can do with a car.
But yeah, I like, even though it doesn't make a lot of sense in the situation, I just love seeing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I see a thing that I wrote down was that one of the guys said, "It's that thing again," and the other responded, "Yeah, well, he's not gonna get away this time." And I wrote down, "What? That's a weird line. Since he didn't get away last time, everyone just left him.
You're not pursuing him at all." Yeah, it's very true.
Act like he's like they are after him, and he got away, but in reality, like they literally just left him at their compound.
It's true, and they were like, never mind him, get the girl. Like, they were just like super villained in on Joni the whole time. They didn't really even seem to be all that shocked by the fact that there was a giant green rage monster running around the Nevada desert at all. But yeah, they don't seem too bothered by him, which is kind of funny, especially with how much he ends their plot and breaks Ted's leg, which is nice. And I'm sorry, he kills Mike. Is Mike dead?
I've tried. I don't remember.
I might be skipping ahead.
Yeah. That. Now I remember. So, it skips ahead a few times, a few things, but I'll just
go back
quickly go through these. So, I love that Hulk tries using the pole that's for the power lines to stop the truck. Sadly, did stop them at all, which made Hulk even madder.
I was so pissed.
And I wrote, that was awesome. Hulk pushed the car into the truck which exploded the car. That was really cool seeing that. And then I wrote, damn, Hulk kicked.
If my fiance isn't watching it with me, I don't notice the caked as much as I could be. But now you're making me think I should be looking for Hulk cake at every turn, and make an occasion for cake to be had at more occasions.
Did you almost have a spit take there when I
I
said
did.
that?
I nearly spat my red beer, which would have been a different Hulk entirely.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Hulk caked.
Oh
Nearly got me.
man. So after the guys jumped out the truck, it went over the ledge, and we see the Hulk behind it as the at the ledge, just doing a victory flex.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's what
and
that's
then
what that becomes. Yeah.
and then this is where you like you were out of about Mike, and like I wrote down because the Ted and was trying saying, Mike, come help me, and I wrote down, it doesn't seem like Mike is can help you because he's either knocked out or dead.
They don't confirm.
Yeah, no, they
He just
don't.
crawls over to his buddy. He's like, my leg's broken, Mike. And he just keeps trying to wake him up. Like, what? Why wouldn't you tell the audience whether or not Mike was dead? That was so weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only guy who loved Mike.
Oh, Hulk puts his hand on Joni's face, showing he cares about her, I guess.
Yeah.
Hand
on face means care.
Yeah.
That's what Hulk's thinking.
Then we hear the after Hulk turns back into David, we hear the Lonely Man theme again as David and Joni walk to get help. And it cuts to Joni buying David some clothes. And did you notice the clothes that she got him? They look very familiar.
Wait, how familiar do you mean? Like the same clothes he wears all the time?
Literally the same clothes he wears all the time.
Like, how did they find his store out in the Nevada desert? That's a great question. They're like, oh my God, they had my place.
I like, that was one of the things I found probably most hilarious in the episode, is the fact that he comes out of the shop and he's literally wearing the exact same thing he wears most of the time in the show. Yeah. As if they just bought the aunt that had found exactly the same stuff.
As if a blue button up and tan pants were just the thing everyone wore at all times in all the states.
And also that tan jacket as well.
Mm-hmm. When I saw the tan jacket, I was like, "Oh, that's nice." He's changing it up a little with his color code. When did he? Does he had a tan jacket before?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's had it. Multiple times.
He's even found a replacement for his jacket.
Literally, I'm pretty sure it was the exact same outfit he's had on before.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
And we get a reference that McGee is around asking questions. Though again, and just like with the 7th episode, McGee doesn't appear at all in this episode, actually.
Makes you wonder if this episode and the 747 episode could have been shot out of sequence whenever the hell they wanted to throw them into the season.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And so we see Joni tells David that she doesn't want him to leave, and David offers to take her out to lunch. So it seems by the end of this episode that that he's actually staying around here for a while, and he's going to continue being with her. But I've seen on IMDb the cast list for the next episode, and she's not in it, so it's pretty obvious that was just going nowhere.
It's interesting to me because sometimes it feels like we catch up with David at the beginning of an episode where he's been someplace for a week already. Mm-hmm. And other times it feels like, oh, he's going to spend a week there now. And it seems like no matter what, he fills the week out at whatever point, the action happens when we see the episode. Doesn't matter what side of the week it's on, but he still spends a week there. regardless. He either has to skedaddle out of town, or he just goes, "Oh, I've made a friend. Now I have a place to stay."
Yeah, I'm going to. He's going to stay here, even though McGee is around asking questions now.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I guess she can keep me hidden. I mean, if she can give me the same clothes I've always worn, she can give me some other clothes. You know what I'm saying? That's not a euphemism.
Something that I was just thinking about, for the episodes where he is in a place for a long time, like with the New York episode where they said he had been there for a month before we saw him. Does he, within that month span before we saw him, did he never turn into the Hulk? Because I feel like if he had, then then McGee would have been coming into the much earlier and would be realizing that there's realizing a lot more quickly what's going on.
100%.
It really does make me wonder if somehow for an entire month he's able to not be Hulk, but then one day he does twice in the same day he becomes Hulk.
Of course, it's in his contract. He has to Hulk out twice per adventure.
Yeah.
At the very least. So, and if he doesn't have a set of stairs to de-Hulk on, he'll pick a desert rock. Now we know that.
Yes, and so as David is staying, I guess, with Joni for a second, we hear some upbeat music actually, but then it cuts to the Lonely Man music, not even showing him walking at all, just Lonely Man music, which I think particularly for this episode, even though it kind of worked in previous scenes, I don't think it worked with this last scene at all.
I would agree with you. I think the ending of this episode is the weakest because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and
I think it does harken back to the idea that this episode was made with the intent of pure fluff.
Yeah.
This was an episode to lighten things up, and hey, let's get to the end of the season, and we have to pad it and make it this many episodes to get there.
Yeah. So my final thoughts on the episode was I think this episode is a fun watch, but honestly, I do think it is a pretty mid episode, and that is yes a reference to the mid podcast, and because I feel like the plot really kind of was all over the place. Do you have any final thoughts on the episode?
I think that besides what it inspired me or brought out of me, in the sense that my love for those kind of big car chase movies of the 70s and like movies since then that have tried to capture that kind of fun and action, one I would highly recommend is called Death Proof. I don't know if you've seen that, but if you're not a fan of R-rated films, it's very violent, but it is a lot of practical effects and a lot of fun. It's made by Quentin Tarantino, and it is the fact that he has a huge love for the car and muscle car and action films of the highways of the 70s. So other than that, it's a fluffy episode.
I think I have seen Death Proof. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun. They got some great actresses in it. And some great action.
I'm pretty sure I watched both of the two films that were on the Grindhouse house DVD.
I don't personally condone Planet Terror. I think it's a hilarious joke of a movie, it's a really weird film. Yeah, I don't like that one as much as Death Proof. I think there's a lot of things in both movies that I don't agree with, but as far as the stunts go and the suspense of those stunts and the fact that they were all a lot of practical effects, I like the style of that kind of movie is what this episode was actually trying to do. So I mean, I don't think we need to see another action comedy highway chase episode of the Hulk. I'd be happy if this was the last, and I hope it doesn't happen again. But it was a fluffy piece between now and the season finale, which is 3 episodes away. So
I honestly would be surprised if we do get another one, just based on the fact
really,
that it seems like they repeat a lot of stuff in the show.
that's true. That's a very good point. I don't know what they're gonna do for. I just looked at how many episodes are in second season, and it's much more what I'm remembering about television before everything went to 10 episodes per season. 22 episodes in season 2.
Yeah, I've looked at the season count, number counts, and every season I think has different number of episodes.
23 in season 3. Season 4 has 18. So I mean,
and
things
then
happen.
Season 5 has like 7.
Oh well, that might have been.
It was because they were canceled. They were canceled. So, and they didn't even allow them to make a actual finale episode to the show, which is why it only had 7 episodes. Yeah,
it's funny. It reminds me of the Office, because like the Office goes from like 6 to 24 for 3 seasons, and then the writer's strike hits, and they only do like 10, and then it's shit happens, and it changes how television is made. But I feel like this show sounds like it happened during a time where it was a little less predictable. That's a shame.
Even though it was like one of the most popular shows on the network at the time, for some reason, one of the executives thought that there wasn't much more story they could tell with David Banner, so he just axed them and wasn't even going to allow them to finish the show off. I don't understand that at all, but yeah,
it seems dramatic.
Yeah. Happily though, they did get 3 TV films like near the end of the 80s and beginning of the 90s that they could use to sort of end it.
Nice. Good. No, I'm excited to get there.
Yeah, there's from what I have seen with on IMDb for those, they don't have nearly as high ratings on episodes, but on each one of those films, but I'm definitely interested in them, and for main reasons of like one of them has Thor in it, and another one has Matt Murdock in it, and also the same one has the first ever Stan Lee cameo in it.
Oh damn, that'd be so fun to see.
Yeah, so
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Me too.
All right, so I have some trivia from IMDb. So Steven Spielberg was displeased to learn that Universal used footage from his movie Duel from 1971 in this episode, and unable to sue on the matter due to the studio's ownership of both the film and the Hulk series. He insisted that all his future contracts list a clause designed to protect his movies from being used as stock footage.
Everything has its origin story.
Yep. And then during the pre-credits trailer that they do for the episode, when David jumps into Joni's truck, he says, "Mind if I get in?" Whereas in the actual episode, he's asked, "What are you doing?" To try to say that they changed it, changed it up. And then the next thing was that David's second Hulk out is similar to that of the previous episode 747, where David is control of a vehicle while he changes. And then we have 2 goofs from IMDb. When David dials the phone, he says the number is scratched out, and we see it all covered in black. But then when he dials again, the black is gone, and we see most of the number. Yeah, and
didn't even catch it.
Yeah, I noticed it. I noticed it after I read those. So the answer to the trivia question I had from earlier was nighttime.
Wait,
so
what was
he
the question?
turned him the trivia question from earlier about how Hulk originally was hulked out. He turned into the Hulk when at night.
Like a werewolf?
Yes.
I mean, okay. I mean, that's pretty that's pretty OG, because that's kind of like what werewolves would be worried about, is turning into a rage monster of some kind.
Yep,
That's smart. That's a smart.
Yeah, because
That makes sense.
Back in those first Hulk issues, I'm pretty sure they didn't have entirely figured out what they wanted with the Hulk.
Yeah.
In the first issue, I'm pretty sure in the first issue, like every time the Hulk is seen, he's drawn a little bit differently because they couldn't figure out the definitive look they wanted for him.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
you have to take their time. Yeah, but no, it does make sense that it would come from a very similar thing to werewolves, in that, you're turning into something you don't want to, and it's against your will, and you're an innocent man otherwise, and that's what werewolves have been all along. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Nighttime, mother.
All right. Is there any final things you want to say before I end off the podcast?
This episode was fun, but obviously not very progressive as far as the narrative. So I'm excited to see more episodes like the Hulk. What was it? The Hulk trashes Las Vegas, or
the breaks Las Vegas?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that makes more sense. The Hulk breaks Las Vegas. I want to see stuff like that where it's, an unassuming title, but we get a huge surprise that pushes the narrative forward. But I think they got to do that sparingly, so I don't know how much we'll get that.
And I feel like it honestly was kind of a telling thing that they had Hulk in the title of that episode, that it was going to be a big episode, since none of the other episodes, at least I think in the first season, and other than obviously the first episode in the show, have Hulk in the actual title.
That's a good point. I didn't even notice that. Wonder if we're going to pick up on that pattern in season 2. I'm not going to look at any titles ahead of time, but now you're making me really want to look.
I do know that the season 2 premiere is a 2-hour episode. So that's going to be an interesting one to review.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And I've read like the synopsis of that episode, and it honestly confuses the hell out of me. So it's gonna be interesting when we get to that point.
I can't wait to see how confused you are, because that's a rare thing.
I'll give you a hint. Hint about it. It mentions David getting married.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Guy's gonna get married. It's the dawn of a new decade. The 80s, everybody was getting married. Right? That makes sense. Sure.
So
you're supposed to say, of course, Keith. That makes sense.
Yes, definitely. If you thank you for listening, and if you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the episode, so please let me know. And if you'd like to hear more from me, please subscribe. Many more gamma analysis is coming from me, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Trivia John, signing off.